As that man who is the Republican candidate continues to distance himself from Project 2025, director of the project, Paul Dans, who used to be a top advisor to you-know-who, has stepped down. His campaign, you-know-who's campaign, he said he doesn't know anything about it. Nothing. He never saw it before, never heard of it. But his VP, JD, wrote the foreword of the book written by Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts, who co-authored.
During a heated exchange with Whoopi Goldberg, Representative Jasmine Crockett strongly stood her ground while discussing the condition of American democracy and the choices made by the current administration. Goldberg, known for sharp and thoughtful questions, pressed Crockett on whether today's democratic messaging and strategies were truly working. What started as a standard conversation soon shifted into a sharp and challenging back and forth. Crockett, unwilling to retreat, pushed back with urgency, stressing that this moment in politics carries real weight and that inaction comes with serious consequences. Their exchange brought into focus the ongoing struggle between demanding accountability from those in power and rallying people together against policies seen as a threat to basic rights. Representative Jasmine Crockett argues that Republican leaders are intentionally weakening constitutional protections and democratic standards through their policy decisions and executive actions. She contends that the administration is pushing past long-standing
Project 25. See how funny that is?
People seem to be surprised that the first felon that we ever elected to the White House commits crimes, but or breaks the law. Right, breaks the law. But clearly, he has no respect for the law whatsoever, and so for the most part, it seems like they've been going after probationary people,
right?
Because probationary employees do not enjoy the same protections.
They lack some protections.
Exactly, and so it'll be interesting to see where the unions go with some of these lawsuits and how successful they are. But again, ultimately, I think that he's trying to get
liberties and warns that this approach puts the country's legal and institutional framework at risk. A major issue she highlights is the growing reliance on executive authority to bypass Congress, weaken the system of checks and balances, and roll back established laws. Crockett also raises concerns about the Supreme Court, suggesting that some rulings are being used to give cover to practices that may cross legal boundaries. She ties these points to everyday life by
not necessarily because of the subject matter, but more so because basically they said, no, this was signed into law, and in a 9-0 decision, they would not allow him to unilaterally overturn it. So we will see how well they hold up, but we know that this administration keeps threatening judges. If a judge hands down a decision that they don't like, they talk about impeaching that judge and getting rid of that judge, and they won't be able to get rid of these judges because the standard is too high. But he may end up telling some of those Supreme Court justices that are his, it's time for you to go. And they potentially will leave because he did that last time.
Well, I want to ask you about Democrats. You're obviously leading next generation voice in the Democratic Party. And while Trump is moving at this breakneck pace, it feels like signing all these EOs, doing these long-ranging press conferences in the Oval Office, Democrats seem to not be getting their footing on what the message and strategy is to push.
Cautioning that ordinary Americans could feel the impact through declining public services, shaky economic conditions, and the loss of basic rights if current policies continue. Another focus of her criticism is Project 2025, a conservative policy proposal aimed at reshaping the federal government, which she describes as extreme and power-driven. She notes that prominent figures are frequently linked to the project, even as they publicly deny involvement, pointing to what she sees as clear contradictions in claims of ignorance from Republican officials.
Some of them do that.
Absolutely. It's a must in this environment, though, right? Because they will steamroll right over you. And unfortunately, we see that ever since day one, baby, that pen been going and it ain't stopped, and it's steamrolling over all of our rights and our liberties and our freedoms and everything that we thought was the foundation of this country, our Constitution. Seems like we're saying, well, nope, with a pen, get rid of the Constitution. With a pen, get rid of impoundment and other laws that exist.
Do you think that Americans just didn't believe that he would go with that Project 2025? Or what? What was that? I mean, he said, I don't even know what it is. Remember?
I remember, honey. I remember there was actually a hearing that we had in oversight, and it was right after he said, I know nothing about that Project 2025.
Crockett outlines the plan's objectives, including removing large numbers of federal workers, expanding presidential control, and stripping away long-standing safeguards. She frames the initiative as a direct challenge to democratic governance, warning that many people remain unaware of its potential consequences until they begin to experience them firsthand, such as reduced access to health care, weakened public institutions, and greater economic uncertainty. Crockett emphasizes that education and organized opposition are essential, urging citizens to stay informed and engaged to confront what she views as a serious threat to democracy. Whoopi Goldberg, known for speaking plainly and asking pointed questions.
25. And we had a witness, and I mentioned that his name was mentioned 312 times.
Yes.
In Project 2025. So I was like, this is interesting. He don't know nothing about it, but he's all through it.
If it's his name, he's riveted to it.
No. And he's relying on the people that absolutely pulled it together. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here's the deal. I mean, I think that there are those that just said, I want to do something different. And so we know that typically when people are feeling it, especially in the economy, they tend to just go the other way. The problem is that this wasn't the guy to fix anything. This is the guy that is the king of breaking things, as we
challenged Crockett on whether Democrats had truly done enough to counter Trump's aggressive policy agenda and highly effective messaging. Crockett conceded the difficulty, admitting that Democrats have had trouble shaping a clear, persuasive story that connects with a broader audience. She explained that Republicans tend to act quickly and decisively, using dramatic presidential moves and constant media presence, while Democrats often lag behind, struggling to rally around one strong.
We think of the leaders chanting, "We will win outside of Treasury," which was widely panned. You've talked about Democrats needing a branding overhaul. Are you satisfied with the approach so far, and what do they need to do to kind of get their mojo back?
You know what? I think that just like the rest of the world, we've got a bit of whiplash. Because for some people, even those that voted for him, they said, well, we've been here before. And we didn't fall apart the last time he was here, so we won't fall apart this time. And so I think that while we have the playbook right there for us, Project 2025, I still think that even some Democrats were like, oh, well, he's just going to do what he did last time. And he's not. World leaders are recognizing that he's not.
Strong, unified message. According to Crockett, this lack of unity has made it harder to push back against false claims and to respond swiftly to policy shifts that could shape the country's future for years. As the conversation continued, she warned that many Americans may not fully grasp the impact of Republican policies until they experience serious, real-life hardships. She pointed to possible hospital shutdowns, cuts to Social Security, and the steady weakening of public services as outcomes people could face under the current Republican leadership.
A country is rough.
Yeah.
Putting a country together like this country, where you have said to everyone, we want to hear what everyone has to say. We've lost sight of the fact that part of the greatness of the U.S. is the rough and tumble. You know, you and I have to figure out a way to be here together.
Yeah.
Regardless of what I look like, what I think, you have to live with me like I gotta live with you. Like we have to keep reminding people when we're talking about making sure women know what's going on. It's not because women don't, it's because we need the men to recognize that the women are on top of their stuff. We're trying to help y'all.
By the time the effects become impossible to ignore, she argued, changing direction may no longer be an option. While Crockett emphasized how high the stakes are, Goldberg pressed further, questioning whether Democrats actually have the strength and political skill needed to stop those scenarios from unfolding. Crockett responded by stressing that reaching people directly and explaining how government decisions affect daily life must become a top priority. Their exchange revealed ongoing tensions within the Democratic Party, balancing the need for a stronger, more assertive.
Can I say one thing? You can say many. Before the break, we were talking about how college kids have to vote and all that stuff. Young people have to understand something. If this 2025 goes into operation, your mother, your grandma, your father, your older people in your family, they will not maybe be getting Medicare, Social Security. Everything's going to get cut back. That means it's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you. So you have to remember these things. When you're a young person, life may be your oyster right now, but it's not going to last.
Well, yeah, because you're heading in our direction. And you want to be. because the alternative is not the best. So you want to be alive, but you have to also recognize we're all in it together, regardless of race, creed, color, gender, whatever. We are all taking care of each other.
Strategy, with the concern that many voters may remain unaware of the consequences until policies begin to touch their everyday lives. So where do you stand on this issue? Do you think the Democratic Party needs a stronger, more effective strategy? Or will the public only recognize the impact of Trump's hardline policies once the damage is already done? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below and be part of the discussion. Thank you for watching and taking the time to engage. Your perspective plays an important role in conversations like these. If you found this exchange insightful and want to keep up with major discussions shaping the moment, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth coverage.